guys, it's Mehdi. Welcome back. Today we are going to continue our tutorial series of FastAPI and React, and we want to create online shop as FastAPI for our backend and React for frontend. That should be interesting video. We talk about user authentication. We want to create a user, and of course for register and login, and we will work with token authentication. As you can see here, we have role. We admin allow to define a role for user. We have two other tables actually, or help. Then for product and order, admin allow to create and define a product with image, name, description, and something like that, and order for user to buy or make an order. And that should be our back end. I can show you how does it work. I call it from here. Now as you can see, we can define new user. As a default is we can change it, for example, to test. I don't know, I have already created this name, username or not. Okay, username is already exists. I don't know, I name it to just simple and just simple as well. Now as you can see, user created successfully. If I try to create it again, and user already exists. We have login for just simple username and simple as password, for example. That, as you can see, we can get the access token. That should be interesting. We need this token for React app. And the next endpoint is to role, and as an admin allowed to define a new role for user, and we will later test it. We have product. We can create and make a new product, and that should, we can test it actually. I don't know, maybe laptop again. I have already created, but don't worry about that. Okay, maybe this looks good. Ideal. I need to save image just for test. Name it div and to one, for example, and the next image for 2. Okay, great. Now we have this title. We can copy this title just, for example, to test our FastAPI here. That should be name. We need some description. Maybe this description, we can copy that. And of course, define the price. And we can add as we will. We can define image and submit. Not authenticated. Of course, just user admin allowed to define a product for project. All that we need. I want to change my username as admin. Admin 123 password. Okay. Again. Okay, I'm not sure which password I have already defined. I come back here to database. For first time, we need the manual to define role for admin from database. That should be more secure, and I would you like to keep that. Okay, now FastAPI, that should be here. Okay, great. Now from user, simple role should be okay. Sorry, should be admin, and I can submit it. simple. I can actually log in as simple admin password, for example. Oh, that was simple. Okay, now is logged. Close, and I try to submit our product from here. Now, as you can see, we have saved our product. That should be interesting. And with this schema response body, we have for get all product, we can find the product by ID, and user allow, actually is like that, create the order. The user should be registered, log it, then allow to make an order. And then for our React, it should be okay, great. Now, as you can see, we have our product as admin added, and if I open it, I can see what product I have added, and at this time don't have any buy or order. I can buy that. Okay, fail to object, of course we need to log in as simple, and that was simple as well. Okay, after login, I can see from here my token. That should be save it from here. And okay, great. And now if I try to buy it, should be project and save it successfully and buy it, and inside my order, pre-bought order, I can see all that I have bought actually. Okay, that should be interesting. Now we can start, and let's start from here. Now I can stop my project from there, and of course from here. Okay. Now just let's start. Cd diff. I'm going to create project name, folder name. I name it, for example, I don't know, maybe shop, and cd shop, and from here I'm going to open Visual Studio Code. What we need at the first, we need our virtual environment by typing, if you have a Mac, Python 3. I give it the same name always. Okay, now it's created. Now it's time to active our virtual environment by typing being active. As you can see, it is active, and if I do pip list, at this time is empty. I don't have any things here. Okay, good. And now at the first I want to copy this our bibliothèque or library that we need to install. Actually, more of them is coming from FastAPI. We don't need to install all that we need. UV core for our server, for our database, SQL, and for our token we need bcrypt there, and what we need else, and FastAPI. Pip install minus r requirement .txt. Now the next step to define our structure, we need model, and we need repository, of course, and what we need else, we need database, we need security folder for token. Actually, securities should be include a hash password, verify password, create token, verify token, and authenticate user. Okay, now what we need is we have a schema. I think looks good. Of course, we need a route for our endpoint. Route we need as well. Okay, now looks good. We have our structure. The first thing I want to configure our database by typing I create a connection, for example. You can choose a name that you want. Connection.pay. Save your time. FastAPI database. As you can see, this should be a structure of FastAPI documentation, and actually I can copy that. Looks good, and paste it here. As you can see, we have SQL, and if you want, you can change the name of SQL database as you want. And that should be, if you want to work with PostgreSQL, just active this line. And if you have external database IP, you can type it here as well, or MongoDB, something else. And some things we need actually for any API request. I want to open database, make a request, and close database. We can do some things like that. Create a method db, and we can say db variable should be to session local. That should be interesting. Make try cache for open database, and finally, of course, finally close database. db dot close. Okay. Now looks good. Yeah, that should be our database configuration. You can do some stuff what you need, but for our project is enough actually. The next step we can make our main dot, or we can start actually with this our model. To create a model, what we need, I have here a UML structure. I can copy it to here that you know what we want to do. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables, and actually we have just we have 3 important tables: user, product, and order image. User has these fields: username, password, role. If you want, you can add emails. If you want to add a address, for example, I don't recommend to write the address here inside user. Create the extends table, something like that, product, image, and define relationship tables. For product, we have name, description, and price. We have now add the new product, as you can see it. And actually it's something like that. I have created extra product image. It should be more better for future if you want to do any SQL command or SQL request. And we have order, and order has order item, of course, and this is the relationship. User allowed to have more orders, and any orders is dependent to user. Okay, now from here I'm typing user model.pay. We need order model.pay, and we have product model.pay. here, from our model, we can start to create model database. That should be interesting and easy, just from SQL, just import def, actually variable type. We need boolean, we need column to create column, or record, we need integer, and what we need else, for example string, and date time for created as. Okay, now from date time, just going to create import date time, and from database that connection, I just want to import base for date for our user class or any class model. And of course we need from SQL.form, we need relationship, and from here class user, for example, is from base. I added because after run project I want to create database tables automatically, and need the table name should be, for example, users. And now it's time for field. Column should be integer, and primary, oh sorry about that. Okay, now here should be primary key true, and what we need, username, again column, okay, now should be string, and unique should be true, and indeed we can define as true as well. Okay, now we need the same, okay, for password, should not be recommend, and what we need else, we need role, can be role as well, and what we need else, is active, for your, if you sometimes else you need to make authentication, oh sorry, make a authorization user per mail, can be get a mail and change this active to boolean to true or false, but as a default I keep as actually as true, and should be default value to true, and create it, add, again column date and type date and time, and default value should be generated date from date time dot now server time, and of course user, and any user is the relationship between user and order. We need this orders relation between relationship between orders, order table, and background to user. Okay, now looks good. And and we have our relation that means user, as you can see from here, user and order. User allowed to make an order, and every order is depend to one user. Okay, now for other product and user, I save a time, I make just copy paste, I do all things just for user, and it's the same for product and order to save a time. I hope this video not more than 2 hours. Okay, now just for product, I can copy paste. Here is the same. We need a class product based from database, table name products, and has field ID is the same, primary key, name, string, description, price, and credit. And we have items as well, and we can change it to float as well. Okay, now looks good. Now here should be product image is the same. As you can see, I didn't define product image inside product. It's better to make a clean code, separate table that's connected to relationship to product table as image. As you can see here, image relationship name. For order as well, it's the same. We have order and relation to user ID, user and item is the same way. And order item is what user ordered. Now, as you can see, we need order ID, order item. Order item is the complete from order ID and product ID. And inside order ID, we have connected to database as well. And as you can see from here, order item, and user, and order is dependent, is connected to product. Okay, great. That should be our models. Now we can define a repository, and again we can say user, or before that let me to create database. Okay, we need a main file that should be run our project. I name it as a default for FastAPI main.py. For Flask, the typical name is app.py. Okay, just here just import UV core, and from FastAPI import FastAPI from database.connection import base and engine, and from what I need else actually. From model import on. I'm not sure it's work. We can test it. And I create the instance from FastAPI class with name app, and here app.event. We want after start up, we want to create all database table. Okay, we can say def on start up, create all table in database. We can say base dot metadata create. What we need to create all actually, and origin bind to our engine. Okay, looks good. Now let me to run our project. Just we can say simply if name equals to main and call it instance class, static class uvicorn.run. For more information about uvicorn, you can open this class and see it has a main run, actually not main. And this method, if you open this method class, you can see you can define a host port as a default. It has this value. You don't need to define it as well. I can say I want to run current file main, and instance of FastAPI class should be app is there, and host I don't want. If you want, if you have a different host, you can define it, but as a default, as you can see, is that we have this this local address. For example, if you have something else, you can write something else. If you don't have at this time any other host, you don't need to write this and port. And reload, I just reload should be true to live see if you have any change here. And it's important, I just want to write it for you just to see that you don't need to do that. Okay, great. Now we have everything. Let me create just simple endpoint as well. App, for example, for welcome. Oh, okay, great. App, for example, .get, that should be our home page. Index file, synchronize method for parallel request to index, and we can return, I don't know, maybe something's message to maybe hello. Okay, great. Now I type python main.py. Okay, as you can see, database created successfully. We have our database, and if I open it, actually we need all models. Oh, maybe cannot model user model. User model import user. Okay, now what's wrong here? Cannot import name string. Okay, let me to close that and run it again. Okay, import boolean string. Now let me come back inside our user model. String, I type false here. Why? Okay, so that should be uppercase. And now if I come back, user table is created. It's depend to you and your project what you want to do. If you want, before project started, create all table in database, you can do some things like that. Actually, but I don't know, it's depend to you what you want to do, because you can create separate file, static file class, and define all user model inside that and call it from here. or you can create table after any endpoint, call any endpoint, create for first time. For example, you make a create or you make an order, you add a product. After first call endpoint, you can create database. Both is you can do both. And I want to yes, actually no, we can continue. Looks good. It's the same if you want to do, for example, for product model class product, that should be work as the same. Okay. Now as you can see, we have this table as well. And let's continue from repository. I create user CRUD that pay, and from here we can start to our repository class. That name is user CRUD. Okay, what we need actually, I'm going to create by typing from typing we need to import okay, let me do something else. From SQL just import session for database, and from model, of course we work with user CRUD, then we need user model. And from schema, okay, that is better that we are starting with a schema, and without a schema we cannot create our schema model for project. And then I create here user schema.pay, user schema.pay. Okay, it looks good. And what we need for user schema, if you open that from here, FastAPI database, you can see actually a schema is that after you call endpoint from docs, all schemas that you see is this structure too. For example, you have a method to create a user, and this has parameter for username, password, and that should be a schema. That should be this structure for to do for creating user. All that you need is it's something like, you can suppose something like that class and class constructor. And if you use schema, actually it's perfect, and I like that because it's make everything's easy, and you know what you need to type, and you know what is the parameter of your method and endpoint. And now as you can see, for example, here we have user base, create user is active or not, something like that, and you know what you need to add. We can actually add this, copy paste this structure. Looks good. Okay, now I'm just from typing import list and option list and optional, and from identic class I'm going to add base model. Base model is Python because I'm not sure about Python is, and is what is that actually is okay, and base base model is the base class of backend. Okay, and just from datetime import what we need, datetime. Okay, now great, we have base model, we don't have any email, we can directly change it to username and created with password, of course, with user base class that should use base of base model, base user base, and class user, and we have ID, we have is active, we have username, and what we need, I forgot it, model roles and created. Okay, now come back here, just create it as well, we need it. That should be date and time. And this config file, we need it as well for user. And what we need is for user, after user create and login, we need a register token. We can class token response, what we want to have as a response, base model, and just typing by access, keep this name actually, is default name for token, access token, because token return automatically access token and token type. Try to keep this name, and token type should be a string. Okay. Looks good. As for register, we need a register response. After register, we want to return a message. Actually, it's great schema. It's perfect because allow you to manage your response type. It's great. Class register response, again from base model, should be as a message, and of course str. And for role base, after change a role, you can define it as well. You can say class role base to base model, and return name, for example, as str. We have a string role names, admin, user, customer, manager, or anything that you need. And class user update. Actually, we don't update any user. I think we don't need it. Okay, now let me come back to our CRUD. We can continue from here. We have user model from schema, import user schema, and from user. Okay, we need a file with the name security that I have already said what is security. We want to hash password, verify password, we want to create token, verify token, and we want to authenticate user by username, password, or token. That means we need this security file, and name it, for example, user.security.py. You can find this code from documentation, or you can change it as well that you need for your project. I did some change here depending to my project, but is a default documentation. You define security key, what you need. You have different algorithm for your token. Any token has just one algorithm. For example, the length of algorithm should be combined with text, number, or symbol, or anything else. You can find it actually token. I have already found that token algorithm. JWT algorithm. Okay, something like that. Okay, that is this documentation that you can see what's the difference between algorithm, how many algorithm is there. As you can see, it's different algorithm model, and define to your project. You can define that should be the last time I saw better example. Okay, no, it's not there. That should be here in from documentation. Again, as I had said, this depends to your project. Okay, here how we can find this file. Okay, great. This is just simple default algorithm name. If you change it, you can see this decoded after decoded the algorithm. Any algorithm, the length or the text, the symbol, or something else. Define the algorithm that you want. And here from security, just import user security, and we want to hash password before saving database, and we need to verify this password for login or user authentication. We want to create token. We need to verify token. Actually, this token is the same way like hash password. You can choose what kind of the token you need and what you want to save inside your token. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. For example, from anywhere, if you decode or verify token, you can cache this information from token. Inside token, at this time I save user ID and username. For example, if you need a road, you can add it, and roles, you can add it, and you can say I want to have inside my token roles as well. Okay, I didn't make this schema inside the schema. We need to add it if we want to call these roles. For our project, I needed just user ID and username. And get current user, and we want to verify user for authentication. And if you function to authenticate user by username and password, okay, we are going to use two different authentication. One time with the password security out to password here, and one time with JWT. Now let me come back here. What we need, just from here we need to import hash password, because after user create, before user create, we want to call this method, and from this method hash password, and this method is coming from this bibliothèque or library bcrypt. And you can see this how does it work. Actually, it's not open source code, as I can see. And okay, now come back here. The first method, for example, I'm going to create just simple fetch user, get user from ID. We can say div get user, name this method username, and db session. Why we need database for any, I have already said, for any endpoint, call endpoint, we want to open database, make a database, open database, do action and call a method and close that. But we will do that, we will call that it from route, but route send parameter to this method. We need to have that. And user maybe user ID should be as int. Okay, now looks good. Now it's time to return db dot query. Okay, great. Now we have user. Now what we want to have from user model, that class user, we want to filter find all user model dot user dot id, find not all, actually the user model inside this table. We filter the user that has an ID, same ID like our parameter that we send it to this method user ID, and return just the first method that we need. Okay, actually it's the same for, I want to copy paste, I just want to save a time for other app as well, because it's completely the same way, except username, user ID, we have username if you want to find a user by username, and if you want to user by user ID, it's the same method. We don't need both. And get user from limit. If you want to return a user by limit, then you can do some things like that. And now again, the copy paste is okay. Let me to write this on user codes for other. I can do a copy paste. Create user, and again it's the same way to create a user. At the first, connect to database from session, and this time from user. We want to send a user schema, or we call user schema create. This structure that I have already told you is something like, you can suppose it's something like the constructor, and the user schema dot user create. Now fake hash password, and okay, that should be our variable to hash password before saving database. I call it, for example, this method. We can say hash password, but which password? That password is coming from user dot password. Before save it, and do some action, make a hash and return it to fake password, the hash password. And we have db user should be here for our model to save user. I can say user model dot user username, not user dot password is fake hash password, and then just db dot add db user that we have already do that. db dot commit should be commit, and db dot refresh, what we need to refresh, db user after save, and return db user that we have created. Okay, great. That should be our user class. Oh, I have some other method to change a role for user that I have already told you. I can just copy paste it. We have from here, as you can see, we have a field with name roles, and as a default is empty, and just user with admin role allowed to change this role for other members. That means at the first we can check it, we do this check that admin is from route, but that should be work like that. We get user ID, and before send the user ID we must be sure user ID is admin, and allowed to create to change to update this new role. And it's just simple update query, nothing else. And that we can say user.load roles is new roles. Yes, that was. And I can do the same for product CRUD.pay. And of course for order CRUD.pay. And I just want to copy paste everything from here. For product, it's the same method with more different methods, but some of them is the same. For example, get product db, get all product from query, or for example get product by id, we get id and we find product id that is equals to id. And this is product. If you want to create a product, again is the same way. We can get information from parameter, or you can, is better, or it depends to you. From here you can create a schema, and don't write all fields here, just call a schema is the same way here, and just I didn't like model here, create user. We have user schema, and we didn't write username, password, and some more. If you have more fields, you don't need to write all them. You just need to create the schema and call from the schema. And create directory. That should be interesting things, because after create product, we don't want to save images inside database. We want to create a static file, and inside a static file create automatically product image, and inside product images create a folder with product ID name, and then save all images that we have added. And get product with ID, get order. Order should not be here. Order should not be here. For order we have separate file. We can do something like that. And let me to check. Okay, now for order is the same way. It's just want to do copy paste our order model. Okay. It's the same way we can create an order. User allowed to make an order, and this is just simple order methods. But as you can see, we need it first. Before making order, we need to find which product we want to have an order. We find this product ID, and from product ID we fetch all product information, and then create and commit the same order. Actually, it's just not anything else as just simple order. And as you can see, commit each order. If you have more than one order or refresh order, I have do that as a separate here to be sure that, because we have separate images and we have two tables for product, and images product and just simple product information. You can do some things like that set order for each item, as you can see, or you can do something like that, just commit all in one. You must write all in one from here. So actually it looks better if you, because we have here relationship table, and from product order and order images. And the same is for get order by ID, just simple request. Get order details, that should be pretty interesting, because it's more difficult to know, to understand this table structure relationship. Product details means we must to know which user, which orders has bought, and we don't actually, it's simple that just find an order that user bought. But what's important is we need to get the details of each of this table to be sure which order details, which product details is actually bought or ordered. And for that, we need to find our details of order, and I write just here a method to find all order. Okay. Now I can close everything. So we have models, we have repository, we have schema. Okay, I need to add the product schema that pay, and we need order schema that pay. Okay, order schema, just copy paste, and for product schema as well. We don't need to write all. It's the same structure for like user. You can define schemas that you need. Now, great, we have security, we have our schemas, we have our repository CRUD, we have our models. Actually, it looks good. We have database structure. The next step is to define route for our models. Create login and something else CRUD that we have created. For any of this method, we can create an endpoint. And now it's time to, from here, we need user route.pay, we need product route.pay, and of course we need order looks good. We can start from here. Okay, now we can start from FastAPI import. What we need depends. We need API router for our custom router. We need HTTP exception for handling error and status. And again, from SQLite just going to import session tools, and from database.connection just import get data to open database and send our request and close our database. And from FastAPI.security we need to import auto password form request to login user with request form username and password. And from model.user model import user class. From repository just going to import user CRUD. And from schema just import user schema. And from security our custom security user security file just going to import authentication user, create token, and get current user. Now I'm going to create a variable to create a custom instance from API router for custom router user. Yeah, that means a given name, for example, user router API router just with prefix user. Now we have instance from class API router that, as you can see, allows to have custom router that should be constructor optional, and default response class response if you need any other stuff from here. Now the first method should be to create the user. To do that, I'm coming to type user router. I call endpoint create. That means it's actually our endpoint is the user create. That user is as a prefix is coming here, and we have here local host, and now some things like that actually. Okay, now what we need to, as a response after user login, we need to define a response model. And okay, response model is not appear here. Let's try. Now response model should be equals to user schema dot register response. If you want to know, as it is prefect, if you can manage everything with the schema, we have a class name that return a message. That means it cannot return anything else as register class for with name messages. That should be a string text. And we need a tags to organization, API name, header name, I name it for example users. Now we can start create method, create user, for example. User parameter should be from user schema dot create user create, and we need to send DB to connect to database and should be dependent. That means we need to depend on database and call get database. That means for these methods create user, we send user schema and database information. If I open from repository user create, now as you can see as a parameter need database and user schema. And what's interesting about getDB open should be open database, do an action and close it after this stuff from here. And I create new variable DB user, for example, and I name it user. So RUD dot get a user by username. That means before I add and create a user, I must be sure that user is not exist. To do that, because this get user by username need database and username. Then we can send database and username equals actually user dot username. And if db user, if user exists, we need to manage this user, and I will HTTP exception status code should be status dot okay. For example 404 bad request, I think is better. And details can be username is what or all or the registered. And if user is not exist, just simple we can say user CRUD dot create user. As a parameter we need DB, and DB should be DB, and user should be just simple user. At the end we want to return a user. To do that, just simple, I'm going to type a message, for example, message, and as you can see response model should be a string, and we return a string that, for example, user created successfully. Okay, great. Now we have that. Let me to check it, put it another type. Now, okay, now we can run our project by typing python main.py. Okay, what's wrong here? We have prefix starts with that. Oh, sorry. We need to pass here the user. Okay, now we have another problem here. Response model user response get exception argument user response model. What's wrong here? And just user. Okay, and cannot find response model. anywhere. That means should be actually, okay, sorry, I forgot to say, as you can see, we have user route. We want to make a post. We need to say we have a post method. Okay, now it's better. Now if I open it from docs, should be user there, but okay, we didn't call this custom user inside main. I'm coming back here, config, I name it for example route, and just app that, or just we can do that, some things to call that by typing. Actually, I'm not sure. It's coming from FastAPI. That means should be there. App dot include router. Just user route dot user router. User router. Now we come back. Okay, now as you can see, we create a user with tags users. Now we're going to test it, and okay, we have some error. Exception failed. Locate name order if is a class name, consider additional relationship to class after both. That means, let me delete our database and test it again. Oh, we have it. Model, user model, dependent class, define it. That means in initials, mapper users, expression model failed, location name. Now then, that to check. Okay, now order. Locate a name. If it's class name, consider adding relationship to class. User model. Where is this class actually? Okay, now let me to see what's wrong here. We have order. Where is order? Something's wrong here. Okay, looks actually good. Let me come back to order. Okay, as you can see here, I have some problem. Should be model. I'm not sure it should be the problem or not. Board class has been defined still, and order model that pay. Okay, I need to check, of course, anywhere I type stand model without O. I'm not sure. sure, but I can check it. And I can check it. Model, order model, order model. From user. Okay, no, it's not recognize this class. And why? Okay, I didn't use it anymore. Not now. Okay. We need to check it again from here. What we have just user router.post, create a mode, and response model, response model equals to user schema that registration response text create method create user. We have parameter user schema, user schema, and db on db, and we said we have instance of class user CRUD. We need to make an instance for our CRUD with db user.username. Actually looks good here. Again, class name consider class name. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have order, and from users table and user class. That means order has a foreign key from user ID. User actually has as well, that has this relation user and back into orders and down order product. Actually looks good here. And from user, that should be now is connected to order from relationship. Would you like to say we have actually everything's here, and I'm not sure about that. What's wrong here? From database connection, everything looks good. Exception: order failed to locate name order. Okay. Actually, as you can see, I changed this code again to star. I think they cannot find table user. As you can see, we have already created user, and I told you we can have it after make a request, create a table. Actually, I think it's better to create all tables before use at a start. To do that, I'm not sure, but I can do that something. For example, user model dot model user, and if I say from model dot order model import order, okay, now order product cannot find product yet. Okay, and from model dot product import product. Okay, now create all database from here. That means would you like let me create a new file, config, or I put it inside database and I name it, for example, all models dot pay, and I can say I can schema. Okay, we can do that. We can keep it here, something like that, or we can create class, for example, called models, something called models, and okay, now we can say, for example, return user order and product. That should be just something like that. Should be work actually. Or we can create a static class by typing, for example, I think it looks good. That should be work. If I from here say instant that from database dot all models import all. Okay, how we can test it actually, that is work. Okay, now again. Okay, now it's work. Created all classes automatically. Looks good. Now you can define a static class like that and return actually all classes from here and call it from here. Because if you have more models, you cannot define all here and looks not good. And now it's better actually. Should be more good. Okay, now let me to check if that's work. Okay. Oh, okay, it's there. Okay, user created successfully. Username is exist. Username is registered. User string and string. Okay, great. Now we have our first API endpoint to make a post request with ID, username, password, roles is active, and something else. Now we can do that for other method. What we need is we need to log in user. To do that, again, user router dot post. Okay, same name users and create method def. Actually we can do asynchronize all methods for parallel requests, for example, and I name it just simple login. Okay, now what we need for logging, we need to login user with auto password request from username and password. I give just name, I can just say from data, something like that, and auto password form, that should be depends, and say db from session, that depends, yes, that should be depends on get db. Okay, great, now it looks good. Okay, we have this from date, that should be on form and dependent and db session. Okay, great. Now we can start from here and we can say, we can, before logging user, we must to authenticate this user, if user exists or if username and password is correct or something like that, something. From here, before create user, we must to be sure user not exist. Now we must to be sure username and password is exist and is correct. To do that, I'm going to do user authentication user. We need username and password as a parameter. We can get it from auto password request form variable from data dot username and from data dot password. Okay, now we want to check if not user. That means if with this information, if user is not exist or username or password is not true, just raise HTTP exception. Okay, status code it's good. Status code should be status dot HTTP, for example. Yes, here unauthorized, and details can be incorrect username and or just password, and header if you want, you can add it for to manage header from browser to see that. I can say my header as a default is www authenticate, for example, is disappear. Now after that, if user not exists, we can manage it. You can actually add more stuff here if you want to learn more about that. If you open this HTTP class exception, you can see we have details, any data to be sent to client, detail K as a JSON response. We have red header, any header to send a client in response, or actually status code. We have all of them. This constructor actually status code, details, and header. It's not anything else here. Okay, looks good. Now we can say user exists, then access. Okay, access token should be create access token by user equals user instance class, and return what we need to return. Just simply we want to access to have access token should be access token, and token type should be just here. No. Now it looks good. Okay, now exception on authorization. Okay, need a comma here at the first. Now let me to check if I can log in. And we don't have any other method here. Okay, now I'm trying to log in with username and username as a default value. Okay, now depend object has not attribute query. That means from CRUD get a user by username. Now let me come back to get user name to, but why here we have this error from user CRUD? Okay, we have user, username, filter, that actually the method is true, and we have already allowed to create new user. User is already registered, and username and username. Okay, db user. User model dot username equals username db query. Okay, now again we need to check what's wrong here, and from data we have auto password request equals is dependent, and okay, what we needed, where did we use this db? And authenticate user is inactive, is not accessed. We open this authentication user, need username, need password, and call get a username by username. Okay, as you can see db, we forgot this because get a user by username, password. Authenticate user will return a user by username. That means you can make any authenticate user that you want, return a user by username, password, or ID on anything. It's important just to return a user. That means here authenticated user will do return a user if exists, and need to connect to database. That should be our DB. Now if I come back and try to log in, okay, incorrect username or password. Username, okay, because we create okay, username password, sure, that was a string, sorry, my fault. Okay, now we get this access token with token type beer. Okay, great. Now we have that, and we have everything for user. And we need another methods here, endpoint to from here. As you can see, we need to update user, and just admin allow to update user role. To do that, we can say app user router dot update. Okay, yes, let's put here, and just want to say user, and we want to send user ID. Now this looks better, and role. Okay, now looks good. Now as a response class, user schema slash tags tags, for example, I name it roles. And what I did to do, actually here we can say should be possible, because we have already created class token response. We can use that actually. We can say response class should be user schema dot token response. And if you want to be sure what is the response is string, user created successfully, or user already registered, and response should be token, and you can use that actually. And here response is our user role, that should be return a string, just the name of new role. Okay, I name it the method, for example, update. Okay, what we need, update role, user ID. We can check what we need. User ID, new role, and database. Now we can say user ID. It should be int, and new role should be a string, and current, that should be current user. It's important. From user we want to find user, get current user, for example. Okay, as I have already said, just admin, the user with admin roles allow to define other roles for other users. That means we must be sure logit user is admin, and logit user allowed to do that. I just want to say if current user dot roles not admin, don't allow to do this, call this method, and should not work. And I need to copy that. Okay, should be HTTP, what we have here. Here details should be, for example, you do not have permission to perform, for example, this action. And then if you have, I don't know, you can define how many roles you can define want to have. That means you can just say if new role equal if a role not in one of our this array, admin, for example, I don't know, just simple user or just ghost or manager, I don't know, it's depend to your project what you want to define actually. If not one of these, you can just say this HTTP exception status code, status code equals status dot, for example, HTTP 400 for is bad request. Okay, what's wrong here? Status code cannot find it. The status code is coming here. Sorry, it's my bad here. Now it's parentheses. And then if is this one of these roles, then allow to change user by user CRUD dot updates role, just we can say db dot and db, and as a parameter need db user id equals to user id, and what we need else as a parameter user id new role. New role is equals to the new role, and db equals db, and looks good actually. Now we have everything. And okay, again I forgot to define as a parameter, we need to say we need db as well. Always we need db to open database and connect to database, depend on get db. Now we have everything here, and I think I should say it looks good. Now if user not exist, raises HTTP exception again, status code status dot user, okay, HTTP 400 not found, with details, for example user, okay, we can do that actually, and at the end just return create new user with string 2 and string 2. Okay, that should be created and should be user 2. Okay, as ID has 2, string 2, and now I'm trying to change role. Okay, define a low definition. What's wrong here? Line 200. Current response media type. Okay. I should be come back and check this actually. Okay, now. No. Schema user schema. User schema dot roles token. User for role. Okay, still not. And media type for this class. Current response and current user. We have here role. We have role. This simple tag name, and we say response class. Oh, not class. Is response model. I thought this. Okay, now this looks better. Okay, great. Now we have new roles tags. Now let me to change. I want to change user ID 2 role to admin. Okay, not authenticate. I'm not logged. I'm logging from username and password. Okay, get error. String. Okay, we can check what's wrong. Not found here. A string, our simple authentication. Okay, now not found. What's not found? User login. That should be work here. We have just simple login here from form beta. We have auto password request form dependent should be need. Actually, that means when you say this, that means user need to authenticate with FastAPI.security auth password request form. That means need to register with username and password. And for authenticate user, we can just going to get username, password, and database to authenticate user and verify password. That means user should be found and password should be verified to log in. Now then we just want to say create access user class should be user. Actually login had already works and I allow to login. Now we need to see why. Let me to check again. Try now string if it still work. Okay, we need to get a token from the found it. I forgot here as slash for login. I'm not sure, but I think that should be the reasons that not here work. Okay, now let me to come back, reset, and try to log in with a string and a string. Okay, great. Now as you can see, I forgot this slash and cannot find token URL. Actually search for this path as a default user login, and I forgot this slash and could not be able to find this endpoint, and of these reasons I cannot log in. Now come back here, I'm logging. I want to change user ID to password to admin 2 and just execute. You don't have permission to performance. Yes, of course, because user 1 as logged user is not admin as well. That means here from user I need to say this user is admin, just admin allowed to change role, and close that and save it. Okay, now user 2 is admin as well. Now if I come back to database user, both of them is admin. Okay, great. Now we have that. Okay, now what's wrong here? SQLite. Now I can stop that and that. Okay. For two-bout class, I have for all this of project, I just write for user class. I make copy paste because this take time about 1 hour. I think is better that for product route. I make copy paste my code here. Is the same way with we call actually every times methods. We can check it together. Create new custom router. I name it product router, and from product router create a product, call a product to create a product. Just asynchronize method with username, description, price, and as a parameter. And every time, as you can see, is the same way to change roles. Just roles with admin. Looks that we have this admin role, should be everything's possible in future and should be very easy to manage every endpoint. For example, if which user with which roles allow to access to any endpoint, or which user which any roles allow to change, manage, update, delete, or everything CRUD that you want. You can always check with this simple code if current user roles is admin or is not admin. If it's not admin, just don't allow, and if it's admin, allow to do create product. Is the same we call CRUD create product, and we can send this parameter. Actually it's the same way, just simply get all product and get product by ID, that we can every time call CRUD methods. Is the same for order as well, and simply we create other custom order. We can make a post. Every user allowed to make an order, but what's important to know, just user that log it. That means user should be registered and log in, then allowed to make an order, create an order, and simply, and as you can see, verified token is as dependent. That means user should be verified by token, and if you are not logging, you don't have a token and you cannot make a product request. And this time we are going to verify user not by username and password. We will work with token to be sure user is logged and return a token. That means I can show you later. And we have get, order R, and order ID, and these special methods to return all order details that we have talked about it already. Now if I from here where's product, okay, now we need to call this product from here, from product route. We need to say product router, and order route should be order router as well. Now if I want to, as you can see, is closed because need to verify before make a token. That means need a username and password to log in, and then allow to add a product. We can test it, but need to log in, and login user should be admin, as you know. String. Okay, now it's logging. You're not here from. We can save this image inside. Yes, inside here. Okay, and maybe some other image. 2 and 3, and we need this title. We need some information. We can change it to text area. I think it's better. And we need to add this price and add some photos from this.del 2, 3, and this one, and make execute. As you can see, we are create our first product and with response to 100. Okay, until now we talk about FastAPI endpoint about 2 hours. Now in next video, or in continue this video, we talk about React. We are going to create React app. From here we need new folder. We can name it, for example, Frontend or online shop, what you want, and we need to install React and call all endpoint full our REST API, full REST API that we have already created from here for product, for order, and for user. Okay, now we can start from here. React, would you like to create new template? I need to change this name to, for example, FastAPI, and this should be React or backend or frontend as well you want. And from here I'm going to deactive virtual environment. Okay, clear. Now we can say npx create React React app, for example, online shop, or I don't know, front end, as well as you want. You need what you want to do. I prefer online, maybe. I choose an online shop, just, and let's to create it. And is not create React. Maybe I forgot. Oh, okay, sorry, it's my bad. Now it looks better. npx create React app online shop. Now, as you can see, I started to create a React app from here with name online shop. And take a minute actually to install and download all of this stuff from React. And after that we can exactly get to start, and we need to show what we need to change, and what we have. That should be interesting here as well. Okay, now as you can see, initialized a Git repository. Okay, cd online shop and npm start should be run our project. Just for test, cd online shop and npm start to be sure that is work. Okay, now our first React app.js started. Perfect. Now let's continue. I'm going to, from here, online shop, and here I'm going to create new file or folder with name components. Now it's better errors for our components. And inside component we need other folder, for example for assets. And what we need CSS, and we need image, we need JS file for our JavaScript, and okay, and inside component first should be home component that not folder, should be file. You can use any structure that you want, and it is easy to understand for you or to do that. Okay, to start from here, before we are starting, I would like to install some dependency that we need for example for Bootstrap and Axios for connect to our FastAPI endpoint. And we need for route, we need to define call default our route. We need to install some dependencies, something like FastAPI API router that we can use here as well for our custom route endpoint for front end page for our React. And to do that, I'm going to find it from here. Just all that we need before start. Let me to do from here first start our project just by typing npm, for example, install Bootstrap. And npm install jwt, because we need to decode our token. After user login, we want to save token in user browser, and we need to work with this token, and we need to get a user ID. For example, we need to get a user ID from token. To do that, we need the JWT decoder, and what we need is we need to install from npm install. We need Axios for to call to be able to call actually our endpoint, FastAPI RESTful endpoint, and we need something else to for our custom router React router DOM. Okay, npm install React. Oh, sorry, not underline, is just slash. Okay, we have it as well. And if I cook our JSON, we can see our dependency. We have router for custom router, we have React decoder to decode token, bootstrap, and Axios. Okay, great. Now we can start from here. All that we need, for example, for first step, I'm just going to from here, from React, simply sorry, I'm writing like FastAPI import React, and just use effect, and that should be our state, and use state just from React, and again import Axios from Axios, and import what we need is product guide. Now we need to bootstrap we have as well, and I just not sure here, I must check, but we have else. Okay, now we don't need anything else, and just from home maybe we can define custom CSS for home. To do that, from here I can say home, I give a same name, .css, and inside that, for example, you can define some things. Actually, what we want to do for home, it's important to know at the first, before that all, we want to what we want to do for home. Just we want to fetch product from API, all product from API, and we will going to show this all products inside home page. Okay, now let me come back, and here from import that assets CSS now home.css, and const. First I want to fetch all endpoint. It's important to be sure that you run FastAPI from background, Python main.py. Okay, it's too important, that should be work correctly here, because at the first I want to fetch all product from here. I want to call these methods, that should be work. Okay, at this time we have just one product. Okay, now const the name of file authenticated, actually this is the question that we need to authenticate user to fetch all data, or we don't need to do that. And for home page, actually we don't need any authentication, would you like to say. And if we need to do that, we don't need it. Okay, now I can say from here just const from products, want to say set products, set products should be use state as empty array at this time, and then we can say use effect, use effect that is coming from here. I'm going to just simply say we have a method, and inside we need to know what we need inside this method, and just let me to say fetch product from API. It's important. Now we can say what's the name of this product. It's this endpoint. We need this endpoint. We will have to copy that, and I can say fetch product from API, just access dot get, because we have here get method. As you can see, it should need to have the same name, same structure, and HTTP our endpoint products. Okay, from here all that we get, then if we have product, then we want to save it, this response, we need to save this response inside. Okay, that should be variable. Okay, we need to install to set product state, and what we need to install to save inside our user state, response dot data, if we have a response. And if we don't have any response, of course we have error. We need to manage this error. To do that, we can say catch error as well, is the same way, just error. Now console dot error. Okay, great. As parameter get data array. Now we can say we have error fetching products, and just simply we can say print error. And if we have some things, we can, if we have more than one product, we can return it as just simply as just simply as array. Okay, now we have this, and we have our state, and that should be actually here as well. We have parentheses. Yes, now it's better. Okay, now what we need is to handling layout. We don't need it at this time. Access token, because it's just simple home. And we can continue from here. We need to configure our front end. To do that, we can say just simply we have div, and inside div we have a navbar. I create a new component. I name it here navbar.js, and this navbar, this navbar is just simply navbar from Bootstrap, and I don't know if it's better to, because it's a little more, and I can copy paste it and I can show you what does it mean and what's to do. As you can see, from React I get React, and from React router down I get link and use navigate. That means that should be our custom methods or function that we want to do at the first. Actually inside that should be global navbar. This global navbar is responsible to show login, register and log out. And how does it work? After user login, we will get access token that we return from here. We have a string, as well here. As you can see, we have this access token. That means after user logged, return this access token and token type. And we want to work with token. We get token and we will save it in local store of web browser. And I'm going to create variable and name it to is authenticated. Is authenticated, that means token is exist. If token is exist, then is authenticated. And then we handling logout. The logout is just simple. Logout, that means we are going to delete this local token from browser, and from here navigate and redirect user to any other page. For example, after logout we can go into home page, not inside login page again. And then we have just simple bootstrap navbar to show home orders. And as you know, how we can manage authentication user inside React app is just simply everything's work with access token. Access token is our key to authenticate user, to be sure token is exist. Inside token there are our user ID and some other stuff that we need. I'm not sure, I cannot remember. Let me to show what we have saved inside token. After user login, we are going to create token. Inside token we save user ID and username. Okay, and then that means from access token we have token, and inside token we can get and fetch user ID and username, and that should be responsible for user handling. And we are going just to simple to show other file links like home, order, login, register and logout. And orders, it should be visible and it should be accessible for is authenticated user. That means if user logged and save from here, and we save access token inside local store, then it should be visible and can be shown to user. And don't worry about any injection access or injection hack or something like that, because you have just simply empty browser or page that is not be usable without actually access token. And we have login and register should be show it if user is not registered, and if user is registered, don't show login and register anymore. And logout, that was handling logout, this simple method to delete token from local store. And let me come back here to home. We can continue from home, and I'm going to add the navbar. I can just say from import navbar from just simple navbar. Okay, now here we can say I have navbar, and now inside navbar I can say is authenticated. To do that we need actually to manage that from here. Now I can say is authenticated, and is authenticated equals is authenticated. Then logout, that is just global settings to manage just simple logout, login, and register user. And just navigate should be our variable as a navigate, and then do simple here, and logout we have that's simple, and dealing logout that we have already created. We can just simply call this from here const handle logout equals to parameter should be navigate, and just simple from here, and local store we want to remove item no sorry we want to remove access token. That should be, that means is just simple login method. And now after that we can navigate to just login, or after login just navigate to home page. That should be possible as well. Okay, handling logout that we have as a parameter, we want to say send navigate. Okay, now we have this. After that I'm going to close navbar, and what's wrong here? Oh sorry, that should be our variable. Okay, now let me check some things here, because we have already defined this method inside navbar. Maybe we can use it from here, that not typing 2 times. that should be work. And now let me to check. Oh, should not be work because npm start, and before starting we need to do some change because we have a custom router and we install this dependency library. I'm coming back to app.js and let me to from app.js what we need. We need to say import React from React. Great. Import browser router from React router down. We need as router route and routers. Okay, looks good. Now just from here import home from components, just home. And I think we don't need something else here. That looks good. And and check again from here that we have everything. Okay. Now we can say function app is responsible to const is authenticated. We need local storage dot get item. That means before at all we want to get item inside user authenticated access token. Okay, great. Now we can just simply say return from route, just simple routers. Okay, that should be our routers, public routers. Just route path should be, for example, this path is responsible for home element. Just again say home. Okay. And what we need is we have route for home, and at the end just export default app. Okay, now let me to run it. If can check if it's work. Okay, imported as home but not found inside component home model export. Okay, now let me come back here. Okay, maybe we need to export home because I'm not, as you can see, is inactive. That means we need to say export default home and check it. Okay, we have some other stuff. A route is only ever to be used as the child of routers. That means here, but we have router, we have routers, and the public routes should be here. I name it public routes to not forget. Okay, now let me come back. Okay, we have some others. Error is not function value either. User state inside static bundle. That means if I come back, okay, now it should not be run because from here, no, we didn't say where we want to show our files, and we don't need to change anything here actually. We don't need any change here. Now we can first finish that. To do that, what we need is inside home. We have I have already just simply from FastAPI copy paste just simple image slider from Bootstrap. I can create new component. I name it, for example, new file to image slider, and .js. This image slider is just simply a slider I copy paste from Bootstrap. And if I find that, Ctrl-C, here I can. Okay. But you need to add this 3 image inside. Just inside images, image 1, 2, 3. If I find that from here. Okay, that should be our 3 simple image to show this slider. It's just simple slider, it's not anything else, because I just copy paste from this code from Bootstrap and to show for our slider. And then I need to add it as well. Just I can say import image slider from image slider, and then we can say we have here image slider as well. Okay, now looks better. And what we need is inside home, we want to show after fetch data inside response variable. Now we need to show this response. And to show this response, we can create other component to show response as bootstrap card. I'm going to use this card, for example, to return an image from product title and description. Okay, we can just simply use that to show product, but I want to create a simple grid page and 3 cards or 4 cards in every row. That means I can say I have product grid .js, and if I find that product grid, can Ctrl-C, copy paste it from here. Now as you can see, product grid and is coming from use navigate from React route down. And what we want to do, handle card click, we have product ID, we want to fetch one time image that we have saved inside this path image URL. We find the image URL, just simply from here we have product. As you know, here we have our static file should be response global file for images, and we have product images, and inside product images we have folder. Product ID is the name of the ID of product. Every product is the name of folder, and we want to fetch these images. And let me to check from here. Now we can just say just simply, as you can see, we are going to do a map. It's something like loop on our product ID, and we are going to create a bootstrap class card with width, and cursor should be CSS pointer, and handle card click. This handle card click should be responsible if after we click a card, that should be returned and show a product details in other page. That means sometimes you can see in one page we want to fetch all product, and after click on every product we want to fetch we want to call product this method to fetch product by product ID in separate page. And then in separate page we want to show all details. In this page we want to show just in map we want to show all products, and in new page we want to show product details. That means for here we need another file for product image product details, and just product details.js. Okay, that should be more complexible, because in products, as you can see in this page, we want just again we want to call our methods. We're going to call our endpoint to find product by product ID. That should be here, and should be here, product by product ID. We want to return it, and as you can see we have handle by is responsible for is authenticated. That means if user is not recognized, is not authorized or not authenticate, not logged, don't allow to buy a product. And this is authenticator is responsible to show if a token is exist, and will from token that will be fetch from JWT fetch user ID. Why we need this user ID? Because we want to know who want to buy a product. Actually it's coming from here. When someone try to buy a product, by create a product method, we need database name, description, order. When someone try to make an order, that we need to order schema, order details plus order ID. That means here we need to find user ID from token, and then we can call this endpoint from token schema, that schema product and user ID. And handling by is responsible that user is is already logged, and just this quantity is separate handling to define how many product ID want to buy, and that should be manage any error. Why we need to do something like that? That should be endpoint to buy or make an order, because if we make an order from here, if we make an order, post order, create an order, we need this token. We need to know who want to buy this order. That means here we send response plus token. If I run it, you can understand better. Okay, as you can see, it's not work because this requirement token. I'm going to execute it. I have this token. And with token, I will be able to say user ID 1 want to buy product 1, and quantity should be for example 4. And then is responsive to 100 user ID 1 about ID 1. What is ID 1? ID 1 order is coming from product ID. Product ID 1, and if you want to know what is product ID 1, then again we can fetch it. Product ID 1 is Inspire is their laptop with this information. Then that means this token to make an order should be okay, I did all that show you. That is our token. This is our endpoint that we should be called. And that should be, this is just simple IP address for server and endpoint plus token. And what they need is, that should be product details. I think should not be work because it's dependent to each other. Home need product grid and navbar, and product grid need product details, and inside product details we want to be able to buy. That means we need order, and now we need another order.js, and inside order.js we want to say we have how we can be able to make an order. At the first, check if user is authenticated and extract user ID from token. It's just simple JWT and extract user ID, and we take token from local store. Then with JWT we can return user ID. You can just call this name because from security you have already said user ID has this name and username has this name. And then set authenticate to true because it's founded. If user ID not founded, decoded token error or invalid token, or user is not logged. Then that should be just simple method to extract user ID from token. And the second method, fetch orders using token as a query parameter. That means and that means from here, after you make an order, you can return just maybe you need to return response, as you can see, which order did you bought, and just simply with this token we are be able to make actually to call our product that already bought or make order. And this is just again to be sure every time is authenticate and user ID exists. And navbar is global, as you can see. We can call it anywhere that we need, because inside navbar we have already said what we need here. We need to save token, we need to actually navbar is responsible page for our user login, register and log out. You can manage everything here, because from here read a token and define a value for token is authenticated value. And then after this is just simple alert info from Bootstrap. If you have error or successfully message, that means that should be return a value, and if has any value, this is just simple loop method to fetch, is like product to fetch data order. And then what we need else, we need two page that this actually this orders is, as you know, is just protect page that just user that log it allowed to find and see this order and fetch all order that have already bought. Okay, we need two other, we need login.js to call these two methods for create and login user. And we have register form, for example, .js, or login form as well, or just register form, what you want. From login form, let me make this about same name. Okay, inside login form again we have just simple code. What we want to do from browser form, from form we want to get username password. That means before I call, we have just simple handling submit to submit new user. We will call this endpoint to login user. And how does it work? Just simple. After login, now we have again navbar global that I have called already. Then we have a form on submit, handle submit, and inside handle and submit we want to prevent default, of course, and set the error. We want to get username and password from browser form, and then we will save it inside set password and set username state, and then with this value we want to call, we want to send inside this URL. As you can see, it's important to know our header is not JSON, is application XWW form, because here we are logging user not with As you can see, for create we have request body as a JSON, but for login we don't have JSON login value. You have form, you have inbox form, username and password. That means here you should need to define. You don't send a value as JSON except application x www form. And after send the value, if response status is 200, a string, if response value is 200, that means you are get this access token. You can say then save access token inside local store. You are going to save token inside local store from login form, and then should be global. That should be global anywhere in this app, and from any page you can call it and be sure that is work. And what we need else? Okay, where I was here. And if not handling, if not work, doesn't return any value, of course, set and show error. For example, if I change it to something else, details incorrect username password 401 should be error. That should be show response data and details. Details and detail message we have already defined. That means we have said details incorrect username and password, and header should be authentication period. And 401 is unauthorized. For register form is just as simple, and the same way for register, again you're going to fetch username and password from form. We get it from form just simply. We are from target.value, we save both username and password inside state, and then from state we call create user endpoint, and as you can see we send this time data as JSON. From here we send data header as application x form, and then if you have 200 access token and store, if we have response 200 register successfully, or we can just from response the details get this our custom from server. I'm sure we have already create. We can actually get this message as well, user created successfully. That should be work. If you don't want to write custom message here, you can say response dot is the response details. That is coming from here. Again, navbar is global, and actually we have now all files and folders that we need. We have home to show all product, and we have image slider just to show this simple design actually. But for this endpoint, as you can see, is static. We don't define any endpoint. If you want, you can create new endpoint here, and that should be good practice for you. You need a database with title, image, and link, and then you can make this page dynamic as well. And we have home to show all image, all product image slider, and product detail should be our grid view to show all product, and order will show about order that we have already about. All that we need to add all these classes here. Okay, now we need to define, for example, register form. We need for logging, that should be great actually. This React router DOM allow you to define custom endpoint for login. Login form, and then what we need, we need to define for product, just to say for I don't know product endpoint, product endpoint, for example product ID, and element should be product details. Okay, and what we need else, just another simple endpoint, custom endpoint for orders from orders. Okay, we have some error here. Cannot find React Bootstrap. I think we have offered for that to install it. Oh, sorry. Okay. npm install React Bootstrap. Okay, now after install React Bootstrap, because I have called it from here, and let me to npm start. Okay, we have some error from product detail, and let me to check what's wrong here. Product detail. Asset image slider.css. Cannot find image slider.css file. That means from here. Okay, src assets. Image slider.css and login form.css we have as well. This should be custom, that you can change it as your natural. You can design it what you want. It's not worry about that. Okay, now this should be image slider. Okay, I have to actually to copy paste all codes, because I'm going to save the time. Is about 3 hours this tutorial, and just simple bootstrap code that you can change or you can write as well you want, but it's important that you just to know how does it work, how you can define which bibliothèque, which library you need, and some things like that. And from home we have CRUD database, the size of CRUD for our website. Okay, now Product details is not okay. Match product details. Product in does not match CRUD response. Product details. Okay, we have no model match. Orders. No model not found, cannot receive orders. We have to order. Okay, we have here order. I type orders is orders. Maybe cannot find that, and from here cannot find. What's different here from product detail? It's just simple product detail. Okay, product detail as well actually is here. Okay, we have anywhere product detail. Okay, here looks good. Okay, let me do that. Okay, now should be better. That is our just simple navbar that we have already created, and I'll show you which navbar. That should be our global navbar. I'm going to log out, and this is just simple bootstrap slider that is time is static. You can just to do that dynamic and just define endpoint in FastAPI, defining class, table, image, title, and link. And that should be removed. This is your login. Medi for example. Okay, is networks error login in error. Oh, login. Sorry. Just from here register new user. Okay, error registering undefined. Let me check. Everything is slow. Okay, looks good. Let me to stop it. npm. Yeah, I want to reinstall npm, and because I have changed some stuff here, sometimes it work. Image tags. Let me do that. Okay, now npm install something like that to our npm start. Okay, now a string login. Error login in network error. Okay. Error. What's coming here? Network 200. I'm not sure. Okay, metadata maybe. Let me see that. Okay, it is a middleware. Actually, for if I'm not sure. First, let me check if it's work. That problem can be here because we need to allow from external access to our endpoint URL. That should be URL prediction, or you can just say localhost, or you can just typing something like that. And if you type, if you have, that means other API, other IP don't allow to access your endpoint. You can actually define it from here, middleware. But in this tutorial, I just want to pass all, and I'm not sure should be work just for test. Okay, great. Now, as you can see, it's work correctly and fast, because from here I didn't allow to access to our protection or for our endpoint, that you can define it, and try to learn everything about this at middleware. And from here we have middleware class, and you can add middleware inside, which is coming from starlets. And you can, of course, you can find more information in documentation, and you need it actually. And if you, and be sure never put the star here. If you have a local host, put local for local assistant. For local is not important, but if you have release your product in your server, be sure you type just the IP address of your, for example, server, not everything else. If you have more than one server allowed to access these origins, this endpoint, you can define as multi-array here. That should be work as well. Okay, but now it's work perfect. We have add new product here. I'm going to log out, going to home. That was our home page with all data. We fetch all. We can add something else. Order. Product, just admin allow to insert product. Okay, now create sorry, product here, and name Lenovo laptop, for example. I don't know, something like that. Save image. Lenovo. Okay. Okay, that should be title. For description here, maybe price should be and add some image. Lenovo 1, 2, 3, and return response 200. I'm coming back to home. As you can see, we have new product here, and if I try to buy it, automatically should be return user to login, because cannot find access token inside here, local store. And now after user login, I'm logged, for example, as not admin, for example, login as new user. If it's not exist, okay, successfully. Now coming back to login. Okay, great. Now I want to buy this product. I buy it successfully. I'm going to my dashboard, user dashboard. I could be able to see what I have bought, and quantity is 1. That should be actually calculated automatically. If I say from this product I need 5, inside my order should be that was cheap actually to buy, but it's calculated automatically. Okay, actually we have everything here, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry about more copy paste, because now I take time about 3 hours, and that was relative big project. But if you have any question, you can take a comment. I'm glad to see and respond you or write you back. And that was actually our FastAPI backend full stack project. FastAPI as backend and React as frontend. Now have a nice day. Bye.